Hey everyone, in today's video, we're going to talk about the top 5 used items that you can flip online for a profit in 2022. But before we jump into today's video, if you're a fan of modern day treasure hunting, so going and finding stuff that you can flip online for a profit, then you're in the right place. We try to put out 2, 3, sometimes even 4 new videos every single week on YouTube. So if you are a fan of videos like this, make sure to hit that little thumbs up button for me and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Okay, so let's begin. And I just want to say, I honestly believe that if this is the only reselling video that you watch in 2022, if this is the only one that you watch, if you take the advice and you take notes and you actually pay attention to this video, I honestly believe that there's no reason why you can't take the information from today's video and use it to make an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. That's an extra $6,000 a year that you could use for whatever you want. It's like giving yourself a $6,000 a year raise. And who knows, maybe you can even turn it into a full-time business like we've done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at number 5 and work my way up to the number 1 item that I think is the best to flip online in 2022. So let's start with number 5. Number 5 is cameras and lenses. I love the cameras and lenses category because the products are typically higher priced and they sell very fast. So there's a large demand in the cameras and lenses category. It's also pretty amazing how good cameras, good brands, and good lenses, how they can hold their value over time. So they don't depreciate like some other categories of selling stuff. So here's an example of a Sony lens that we sold recently on eBay for $650. I bought that lens as a part of a camera bundle when I bought this camera, actually, my studio camera, which is a Sony a7 III. This lens was part of a bundle and I used the lens for 2 years. I enjoyed it, I liked it, but then I wanted to upgrade to something else. But I used the lens for 2 years and then I sold it for $650, which I bought it used in the first place and it still held its value where I didn't lose any money on that lens. I sold it for as much as I paid for it 2 years back. Here's another example. We recently sold a vintage Canon Sure Shot camera that we found at an estate sale for $8 and we sold it again on eBay. We sold it for $75. So it's not just super high-end stuff either. Most camera equipment and lenses, most camera bodies and lenses have some sort of a value and they do tend to sell fast. So what brands should you look out for? Well, Canon is probably the biggest and best one, but there's other brands like Sony's really good, Nikon's really good, Leica makes some really good lenses that sell well. And then you can get into some really high-end stuff like Hasselblad and Red camera bodies can sell for, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And where can you find these cameras and lenses that you can flip online for a profit? Well, I already mentioned estate sales. We found some great camera deals and we made thousands of dollars flipping camera lenses and bodies from estate sales. And there's a website that we use called estatesales.net where you just go to that website, put in your location, and it shows you upcoming estate sales. You can also, each estate sale company typically has an email list that you can get on and they'll tell you when they're having their particular estate sales, that company. There's also garage sales and auctions. If we're looking for local auctions, we go to this website called auctionzip.com. And by the way, this is not a sponsored video. These websites have no affiliation with us. I'm literally just putting this information out there to benefit you. So auctionzip.com is another one that we use to find local auctions in our area. And then probably my favorite place to find good used camera equipment is Facebook Marketplace. Again, that's where I found this studio camera lens and body kit bundle. I paid $3,000 for a Sony a7 III body with, I believe there were 2 really good high-end lenses and a gimbal. Altogether, it was a very good deal. But I like Facebook Marketplace because there's lots of stuff on there. And what I like to do in particular, if I'm buying to resell, I look out for those bundle deals where you can get a camera with a bunch of other equipment together, and then you can split it up and make money selling each item individually. So if you can find a bundle deal for $1,000 and then part it out and sell each thing, and altogether you're getting $2,000, that's a really good win. And there's a lot of deals like that on Facebook Marketplace. Marketplace. I also like Facebook Marketplace because typically you can go and meet with the person, you can look at the equipment, you can test it to make sure that it's all working how you want it to work, and there's nothing broken, there's no cracked lenses or anything like that. So Facebook Marketplace has been a great resource for us, for not only for personal use, but also to find camera equipment to flip online. Okay, so number 4, again, I'm going from number 5 to number 1. So number 5, camera equipment, camera bodies and lenses. Number 4 is going to be audio equipment. Now, when I say audio equipment, I'm not talking about musical instruments. Not that there's not money in selling guitars and drum kits and pianos and stuff like that. But what I'm talking about is more the components associated with musical instruments. So the actual audio equipment, stuff like microphones, effects pedals, headphones, equalizers. There's even some higher end cables that can sell for a decent amount of money online. And also in the same category, I'd like to include vintage electronics like vintage radios and stereos. For example, take this Panasonic radio that we thrifted. We found it at a thrift store recently for $60 and we flipped it online for $275. Now we found it, we plugged it in at the thrift store and we tested it out to make sure that it was working. And it was working. We looked up comps, so we looked up recently sold items on eBay to see how much it was selling for, and we knew we could make money on it. So paid $60 for it, flipped it online for $275. So even after the fees that we have to pay eBay, and even after the shipping fee that we had to pay, which cost us around $25, I believe. So even after all of that, we still made a profit of over $150. And those flips were out there all over the place. And one thing that I love about vintage electronics and vintage radios and stereos is that the majority of them, almost all of them, have a model number. And it's very easy to go to a place like eBay, type in the brand and the model number and find the exact same item. So you know how much it's selling for, how much other people are listing it for, and you can get an idea of what's the max amount of money that you're willing to pay. So even like that item, $60 is a lot of money to pay for an item at a thrift store, but we knew we could sell it for $200 plus. So for $60, it was still a good enough investment for us to know that we were going to make money on it. So my favorite places to source stuff to flip online in the audio equipment category would be thrift stores, estate sales, garage sales, but there's one that's overlooked by a lot of people, and that's pawn shops. We don't do a whole lot of sourcing at pawn shops, but they can be a gold mine if you know what you're looking for, and if you're able to develop a relationship with the manager or the owner of the pawn store. And believe it or not, a lot of pawn shops don't even deal with selling stuff online. They're only dealing with selling stuff to their local market. So sometimes you can walk in there and bundle a bunch of stuff together that you know you can sell for more online and make them an offer at the pawn shop. And you never know. A lot of times we've been able to go in there and bundle a bunch of stuff, talk to the manager, talk them down on their price, and you can find really good audio equipment at pawn shops. I like to look out for stuff like microphones in particular at pawn shops because that's a kind of a specialized item and they're not really selling a ton of those locally. That's more of an item that sells better online. So if you can find higher end microphones and buy them for $50 and flip them online for $150, that's the kind of deals that we're looking for when we're sourcing at pawn shops. Okay, so number 5 was cameras and lenses. Number 4 was audio equipment. And category number 3, or item number 3 that I want to talk about, that's one of the best items or categories to flip stuff online in 2022, is the health and beauty category. Probably one of the most overlooked and underestimated categories for resellers or people selling stuff online. Health and beauty. There's people doing literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in just that category. Health and beauty used to be a major part of our business when we first started flipping stuff online. It is a great category to flip stuff in. And one way you can get a whole ton of items is to buy stuff like Amazon liquidation pallets or Amazon return pallets and break those items down in the health and beauty category, break those items down and sell them each individually. It's a ton of work, don't get me wrong. And there's been a lot of times where we've got pallets and half of it was expired and not worth selling, and half of it was used, or a quarter of it was used, but there's still money to be made if you can get the right product. You can also do stuff like source out of production cologne and perfume. So for example, this is a Revlon perfume that we bought at an auction recently. We got 2 bottles, brand new sealed 2 bottles for $10. And we sold one of the bottles for $90 and we sold the other bottle for $100. So we turned $10 into $190. But there's a ton of health and beauty items that can be flipped online for a profit. But the one thing that I do want to stress, because the title of this video is used items to flip online in 2022. And I just want to stress that when it comes to health and beauty, the majority of the time you're going to be sourcing stuff that's new, sealed, and not expired. You definitely don't want to sell expired health and beauty stuff. And as an example, if you want to sell health and beauty stuff on a website like Amazon, I believe in most cases, the item has to have at least 90 days of expiration date left. And if it's something like a supplement, it has to have a remaining shelf life that allows sufficient time for the product to be consumed in full, plus an additional 90 days. So if you're selling like a supplement that has 240 capsules, 240 pills in it, it would have to have 240 days plus an additional 90 days of shelf life for you to sell that item on Amazon FBA. So just be aware of that. But like I said, health and beauty, great category to sell. There's people that have their whole business just in that category. Okay, moving on to item number 2 in this list of 5 from 5 to 1, best categories, best items to flip online in 2022. And this is the one that's probably my favorite out of the 5, mainly because we do so much business in this category. It's pretty unbelievable. But the category, if you haven't guessed it, is shoes. Check this out. There's a pair of sneakers purchased on eBay every 4 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, shoe sale. 1, 2, 3, shoe sale. And that's just on eBay. There's so many other places to sell shoes now. There's, StockX, there's Mercari, there's Poshmark. There's a lot of Facebook Marketplace. There's a lot of places you can sell used shoes now online. Now, when we're selling shoes, we like to stick to the main brands like Nike and Adidas, but there's also other brands and other styles of shoes that sell very well online, like Hoka brand shoes, OnCloud shoes. There's CrossFit, Reebok training shoes. There's wrestling shoes. There's even comfort shoes like Dansko and SAS brand, Chaco sandals, Vionic shoes, hiking shoes like Merrell and the North Face. There's so many good brands with a ton of built-in following. And if you can find those brands and find those shoes in good condition where you don't have to spend too much time cleaning them or trying to repair them and fix them, but if you can find those shoes with a good demand and a high enough resale price, the shoe category is just an amazing category to be in. But what I'm getting at is you don't only have to sell high-end Jordan sneakers to make money in the shoe category. In fact, like us, for example, on average, when we sell a pair of used shoes, it's only selling for around $40. So we're not selling $200, $300 pairs of shoes every single day. We do sometimes we do that, but on average, we're selling a pair of shoes for around $40. And usually we buy them for around $10 to $12 and we're doing free shipping. So after expenses and all that stuff, we're only making about $15 a pair of shoes that we sell. But when you take that and you multiply it by, a larger amount, if you take $15 and if you can sell 100 used pair of shoes a month, that's an extra $1,500 a month just selling used shoes, which is totally doable for most people. Now, when it comes to sourcing used shoes, the possibilities are really endless. I mean, like I said, there's thrift stores, garage sales, estate sales. But if you are looking to source used shoes in bulk, one of the best places that we found are what's called rag houses. Now, these are locations where a whole bunch of used apparel gets sent to. So if you've ever seen those giant bales of clothing, those giant compressed t-shirts and stuff, those are rag houses. They also get giant Gaylord boxes full of used shoes. And if you can reach out to the right person, now it takes time. You have to develop relationships. You can't just think you can go into a rag house and start picking through stuff. You have to reach out to the right person. You have to be willing to pay up. You can't just say, I have $100, give me, some shoes. You usually have to go in and say, hey, I have $5,000. What can we do? But if you can find the right company and the right people to work with, usually they're getting those shoes for nothing or next to nothing. So it's not unrealistic to get used shoes in good condition for $5 to $10 from rag houses. The trick really is to get the right brands at the right prices. And like I said, that takes time. If you don't want to do that, there's also places like the Goodwill bins, the Goodwill outlet stores, where they roll out, giant carts full of shoes. And then it's a mad rush to go through everything and find the pairs, and then most Goodwill outlet bins, they'll sell those shoes based on the weight. So typically you're only paying, $2 to $3 a pair, but you have to go to the outlet stores and fight and dig through stuff to find those pairs of shoes. So for us, it's taken literally years and thousands of dollars to get to the point where now we can source in bulk the brands that we like in good condition at the right price. But that's taken time and effort to get to that point. You don't have to do that. You can just go to thrift stores and garage sales. You don't have to blow up the shoe category. You can go and find good deals at thrift stores and garage sales and estate sales, and you can go and pay $10 for a pair of shoes and flip them for $40, $50 and make great money doing that. All right, so just a quick recap of the top 5 categories to flip stuff online for a profit in 2022. Number 5 was cameras and lenses. Number 4 was audio equipment. Number 3 was health and beauty. Number 2 was used shoes. And number 1 is video games. So video games and consoles, an amazing category to flip items in. And going into 2022, I just see this category continuing to explode. In fact, this category, the video games category, is expected to be worth over $200 billion by 2023. And I think that's an underestimate. I think it's going to be worth way more than that with VR and all that stuff getting better and better every single day. So the best brands easily in this category: Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Xbox. I personally love selling Nintendo stuff. I find that category has such a good following and the items tend to sell really, really fast. It's crazy too. There's still video games selling online every single day for $10,000 plus. Not saying that you're going to find games like that, but it's crazy that there's still games that are worth that much money. This category is also good because the items don't take up that much space. Video games are, usually pretty small and they're easy to ship. So most of them can go first class mail under £1 and they cost not that much money to ship them out. We also love to bundle games together with consoles. So here's an example of a Game Boy that we sold recently, and it wasn't even in the greatest of condition, the Game Boy itself, but what we did is we bundled it with 4 games that by themselves they're just not worth that much money. But bundled with the Game Boy, we sold the Game Boy and the 4 games together for $95. So getting different games and bundling them together can sometimes increase the sales price when you're selling video games. When it comes to sourcing video games, I still think that garage sales are the number 1 place because the prices are typically going to be a lot better than going into like a GameStop or trying to buy out other people's collections on Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. Garage sales have been great for us to source video games from. And a lot of the times, if you're nice, if you're not like super aggressive and run up to people and go, hey, what video games do you have? But if you are at a garage sale and you see some video games there and you're nice about it and say, hey, do you have any more video games inside that you might be interested in selling? A lot of times that's led to us getting a bunch of other video games and collections from people. So garage sales, in my opinion, is still the number 1 place to source video games from. Pawn shops and thrift stores can be very good, but video games at those places are typically sourced often, so they get cleaned out very easily. And a lot of thrift stores and sometimes pawn shops, but a lot of thrift stores actually take those video games and sell them online themselves now. So you're not usually going to find crazy stuff at thrift stores. But while we're on the subject of video games, I wanted to give you some examples of games to be on the lookout for while you're out there. These are games that not a lot of people know are worth a decent amount of money. So I'm going to give you 3 examples. And if you see these games, buy them because they sell for a good amount of money and they sell fast. So the first one is NCAA Football 14 for PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360. That game by itself is currently selling for over $125. Now I have heard talks of a new NCAA football game coming out, but I'm not sure how that'll affect the value of the old one. But for now, I believe that game is worth so much money because that was the last year that a college football game was made. So people really look out for that game and they're willing to pay, like I said, upwards of $125 plus for that game. The second game, and similar to the football one, is NCAA Basketball 10. And that one is currently selling for $75 plus. So if you see those NCAA games, Football 14 or Basketball 10, definitely pick those up. And most of the time, people don't know that they're worth that much money, so they'll have them priced at a couple bucks because it's an old game for PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360. But if you see those games, for sure pick them up. And then the last one that I'll mention, because I see this game overlooked a lot of people just don't know that it's worth that much money, is Wii Sports Resort. At the time of filming this video, we consistently get $35 plus for that game, and it usually sells the same day that we list it. And like I said, we've been able to pick up that game multiple times for under $5 and flip it very fast for $35. It only costs us around $5 to ship it, so it's an easy way to make a quick $25. So that's 3 games that you can go out right now and look out for. If you're at garage sales or thrift stores or wherever you are, there's 3 games to keep an eye out for because it's guaranteed money in the bank. So there we go, guys and girls. There's, in my opinion, the top 5 categories to flip stuff online in 2022. Feel free to share in the comments if you think there's other really good categories, or if you want to share other items that might be great quick flips for people in 2022. I want to wish you all a very, very happy new year. Thank you so much for the support that you've shown us on YouTube. I really hope that this video does benefit somebody out there. If someone's able to take the information from this video and use it to benefit themselves and their family and make a little bit of extra cash, that's really why we make these videos. So I appreciate your support. And again, Happy New Year. We love you all, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much, guys and girls. I'm Ralli Roots. Later. Bye.